Good evening and welcome to another Starsector Let's Play video. This is part 8, and for the first time we are flying a capital class flagship, the Conquest. So we captured the Conquest in the last episode, but we haven't had a chance to fit it out yet. We're on our way home, and we are just going to run away from this tri-attack security fleet. We don't want to mess with them, at least until we get this Conquest up and running. So we're coming into Kazeron here, and we will stop at our homeworld of Canny and fit out this Conquest. Once we've got our fleet sorted out, we will be continuing our campaign of conquest against the Persean League. They only have a few colonies remaining, and they have some strong stations defending them, but hopefully now we will be equipped to take them on. So we're just going to repair, check out our contacts and see if they have any work for us. We'll take on a bounty. So there's a pirate bounty for a hegemony patrol fleet. They are sporting a Legion class battle carrier, another capital ship. That might be quite fun to take on, so we'll take that bounty. Just a little ore procurement mission we can do, which won't take us any time. We can just do that straight away. And now we are on the lookout for some good large ballistic weapons. There's a Mark 9 autocannon here we're going to buy, along with a Hurricane large missile launcher, some graviton beams, some fuel and some supplies, and we're going to sell off that ore we just took on and pick up all of our weapons. Okay, so now the Conquest. Conquest is an interesting ship. I didn't used to be a big fan of it, but actually I have had fun flying it in this session. So we're going to strip the weapons off it that it came with. And now there are a couple of schools of thought on how to outfit a Conquest. Because of the way its hardpoints and turrets are situated, you can only really bring half of them to bear on one target at a time. So some people advise that you just fit out all your large weapons on one side and keep the other side just with point defense and defensive weapons. So we're going to do that, I think. The first weapon we mounted was the Gauss Cannon, which has the longest range of any ballistic or energy weapon in the game. And the Conquest also has an advantage in that all large ballistic weapons cost 10 ordnance points less than they would normally. The Gauss Cannon is excellent at attacking enemy shields, so to complement it we could either go with another weapon that attacks shields, or something to strip armour. And it's not an easy choice, we have a few options here, but I think we will go for the Mark 9 autocannon, which fires faster than the Gauss Cannon, but has a slightly shorter range. Alongside these two large weapons we're going to place heavy maulers, which will play the role of taking down enemy armour. On the two front energy medium slots we're going to put heavy blasters so we have some good firepower facing forwards. And in the missile slots I think I'm going to go for double Hurricanes, because if we can get some shields down, the Hurricanes are, in my opinion, the best finishing missiles in the game. They fire one large warhead which splits into 11 smaller ones that close in and do absolutely devastating damage to armour and hull. They will utterly destroy smaller craft and do heavy damage to cruisers and capital ships. We're going to put salamander pods on these medium side missile mounts. Salamanders are essentially infinite, and they just are really useful at disabling enemy engines, slowing them down. So the idea is that the starboard side will be doing massive long range damage to large craft and stations, anything we're attacking. And the port side we're going to fit with a devastator cannon and flak cannons. So anything that tries to attack us from that side, anything that tries to swarm us, frigates and fighters, will be met by concentrated point defense. And it will also protect us against missiles, things like that. Putting in some general point defense lasers. We're going to mix burst point defense lasers and the long range ones, which is always advisable. And then just put these flak cannons in, and we should be almost good to go. For now at least, we will leave the second large ballistic mount on the left side empty, just to save ordnance points, and because we don't have anything really good to put there right now. And now for hull mods, the ship already came with hardened shields built in, which we're quite happy with. We're going to add an integrated targeting unit. The other option is the dedicated targeting core, but that only gives you a 50% range increase, and the ITU gives 60% on capital ships, so unless I'm mistaken that is the better option. We're going to build that in, spend a story point, like to get maximum vents in if possible, although we might have to reduce them if we think of another hull mod, or we pick one up that we want to use. Conquest has quite a small shield, so if we see the extended shield mod spec, we'll pick that up. And then we'll just go through and check out our weapon groups. I'm going to first of all switch the salamanders to 1 and the hurricanes to 2, because if I'm going to fire one accidentally, I'd rather fire a salamander. We want the Gauss Cannon and the Mark 9 autocannon on one group, the heavy maulers on another, heavy blasters on a third, and all our point defense essentially on these last two groups. And all of that's going to be on auto, because we're going to have quite enough to deal with steering this ship and firing off the missiles. Flying a Conquest is very different to every other ship, because you can't just hold shift and aim the way you want to go. You have to make sure that you are flying around and presenting your main broadside towards your enemy. Okay, let's just put it into position, pick up some crew, and repair it. And there we can see a pristine Conquest. It's actually a very good looking ship. Alright, we're going to test this out in the simulator. And I think the first test should always be to test it against itself, to see if it holds its own. Because if you've fitted out a capital ship correctly, it should be able to go up against a simulated version of itself without too much difficulty. So the Conquest we're going up against is firing a Squall anti-shield missile launcher at us. And we are going to respond with a hurricane. And most of it's going to hit the shield, but we do a bit of damage to the hull. And he's firing heavy blasters at us. There goes another hurricane. As you can see, it splits up and then closes in with deadly accuracy. That high-pitched noise is the Gauss Cannon firing. And what we're trying to do here, although currently failing, is to use the ship system of the Conquest, which is maneuvering jets, is try and keep ourselves out of the firing arc of its main broadside weapons and try and keep in front of it, essentially, of its bow. So he fires a hurricane at us. We should have blocked that with our shield, but we failed. In contrast, the Squall that he's firing now, we want to take on our hull like this, because it will do far more damage to shields than hull. And we are now in a good position. We're in front of it. His flux is getting higher than ours, and now we can start doing some real damage to his hull. He's now unable to fire too much because his flux is too high, and if we can just stay roughly in front of him, we should be able to overwhelm him. We'll send in some salamanders at the same time as we fire the hurricane, trying to overwhelm his point defense, and the Gauss Cannon overloads his shields, and the hurricane takes him down. So, we haven't completely failed in fitting this out. It does seem to be pretty effective. Now let's see what happens if we go up against a collection of smaller ships. So the Conquest costs 40 deployment points, and we are going to put it up against 42 points of destroyers. That's 2 Sunders and 2 Hammerheads. And what we will see here in the next 2 quick fights is a quick lesson in, first, how not to fly the Conquest against destroyers, and then second, how to do it properly. So first of all, we come in far too close, and we essentially are allowing these 4 destroyers to get on all sides of us at once. And we have been a little bit indecisive, and now, although we have fluxed out the Sunder, we were unable to capitalize on that. It just backed off from us. And now we have 2 on one side and 2 on the other. So our shield, as you can see, does not cover that much, and it would be good to maybe extend that with hull mod. But we're getting attacked on our engines, and we're taking quite a lot of damage already. And these 4 ships are going to very quickly overwhelm us. So, this is lesson 1. Okay, let's try that again. And this time we're going to try and fight a little bit smarter. So essentially the 4 ships are coming straight at us, and we want to try to keep all 4 of them on our dangerous side. And we're going to have to make liberal use of our ship system, the maneuvering jets, similar to the Falcon and the Eagle. And we want to try and keep at range if possible, because we vastly outrange them, especially with the Gauss Cannon. And if we can focus fire on one at a time and take them down, then we will increase our chances. So we overload the hammerhead with a couple of nice shots and then one hurricane, but he's going to be able to recover. We've sent a second hurricane after him, but by the time he gets there he is going to have his shields back online. Keeping that. So the two destroyers to the south are trying to sneak around our back, and we're going to not allow them to do that. Keep them firmly on our starboard side. And we're going to fire some salamanders against this hammerhead and see if we can overwhelm them nice and quickly with our ballistic weapons. Point defense is doing its job against the missiles and rockets from this hammerhead. And by firing two hurricanes at once, we do significant damage to the first hammerhead. And we can just try and pick him off with the Gauss Cannon. This time just coming in quite close. So we're going to hit him with our autocannons and heavy blasters. And then fire a couple of hurricanes at him too. He has such a low amount of hull. He's had to block that with his shield, and that's overloaded him. Our points are coming in, but our point defense is more than up to the task of dealing with them. And we can just keep them at range and overwhelm them with our firepower. Okay, one hammerhead goes down to hurricanes. Now if we can just keep this second hammerhead at bay and not allow it to get round to our engines, we can use our forward-facing heavy blasters against the Sunder and then fire a hurricane at him. Now by firing 4 salamanders at once, we can hopefully overwhelm his point defense, knock out his engines, kill his maneuverability, and then fire the hurricanes. Gauss Cannon, still trained on him, is punching his shield, and now 2 hurricanes takes out the Sunder nice and efficiently. And now they've got 50% of the craft they started with, and should really be running away, but that's not what happens in the simulator. Second Sunder gets fluxed out pretty fast and gets his engines destroyed. And again, the double hurricane, there's just no way he can stand up to that. So final hammerhead is now vastly outmatched. We don't need to worry too much more about our own safety. We can just fire all our weapons at him. A couple of hurricanes, and the Gauss Cannon just doing its job from range to keep his flux nice and high. It looks like he's going to dodge enough of these hurricanes to survive and take some of them on his shield, but we're able to move in on him. Salamanders are going out again to try and knock out his engines, and 2 more hurricanes face him with a pretty nasty choice of taking them on his shield and getting overloaded, or just getting destroyed. And if we can just get a little bit closer to him, and then we'll allow our broadsides to bear. The Mark 9 autocannon together with the Gauss. You can just see the absolute monster range of this Gauss Cannon. He's got his shields up, he's overloaded again, and that's the end. So as you can see, it's kind of a unique craft to fly, so you have to be side on to your enemy, but I think it will be fun. So we'll take this as our flagship. And then we're going to do a little bit of housekeeping here. Level up this officer. I tend to go for defensive skills on my officers. Make sure everything's repaired. And now we have to decide what we want to attack. And I think considering this is our home system, I would like to make it an exclusively pirate system. So we will see if we can invade Chalcedon, the Lodic Path world, in the same system. Although we do see a Persean League hunter fleet coming after us. So we may have to just avoid them first of all. So they have 1 capital ship and so do we. But with 3 champions, an Apogee and a Falcon, I'm not sure I want to take this on. It could be a bit of a risky fight. Oh, looks like they're going after a smuggler. Okay, well, we'll circumnavigate them. There are quite a few Lodic Path fleets around. And it looks like this hunter fleet is getting tangled up with these terrorists. Now, if they have a few fights and their combat readiness gets lowered enough, they may become a more viable target, and I think actually we are going to go after them. And it looks like they're going after us too. But if you look now, they've got lowered combat readiness on all their big ships, and I think it may be an opportunity for us to maybe steal another conquest and maybe a couple of champions. So, alright, we are going to pilot the conquest, bring in the eagle and the carriers for support. I would like all of the Medusas, but actually we're running out of deployment points here, so maybe just the one. And then a couple of Tempests and Omens for point defense and harassment. And I think we're going to have to maybe remove one of these carriers to bring in a couple more frigates. Yeah, I think that'll do. Okay, we will try to capture these initial points. And, okay. So the first battle of our conquest. Let's see how it does. The main goal here is going to be to avoid their capital ship while picking off their support. And then we will focus fire on it at the end. And see if we can surround it and destroy it. And hopefully capture it. So we've got a few more deployment points now. We're going to bring in, I think, a couple more Tempests to allow us to kind of jump around the battlefield where we need our forces to be. Maybe see if we can go and capture another of these sensor points. Tempests are strong enough to take on pretty much any enemy frigate they come across. So they are great at capturing and defending points that the computer may send a frigate or two against. Okay, let's turn our weapons to bear on the enemy. See if we can kill this Falcon and Sunder before their support arrives. Our bombers are going in, firing their torpedoes. And we are just trying to burn our way into position here so we can hopefully isolate and destroy this cruiser and destroyer. We can see their champions coming from the top right and the apogee in the center. Okay, I think we're going to move all in, see if we can kill this Falcon. And I've also launched a Hurricane after this Sunder and see if that will get some good damage on it. Yeah, so they've overloaded him, took him down to half hull. The rest of our fleet is focusing on this Falcon. Torpedoes coming in. He goes down. We'll send the rest of them after the heavily damaged Sunder. Make sure we defend these points. We've actually captured that point at the top right, so that was a good move by the Tempest there. The apogee is coming across, so I think we can probably leave this little mini wolf pack to go after the Thunder while we turn and take on the apogee. Second Hurricane pretty much misses. The 14th Battle Group Eagle is taking on their apogee. I can see the Thunder's been destroyed, so we can bring back those frigates to defend us. So the apogee has here in support a Mule, an Enforcer and a Wayfarer combat freighter. Nothing that's any threat to a conquest. You see the Devastator cannon going off against the Mule. Won't do much damage to a craft that size though. And we are going to turn, allow our order cannons to bear, take on this Enforcer. Send in a Hurricane. do like the sound of that Gauss Cannon. It's just pretty devastating. Okay, torpedoes coming in from fighters, kill off the Enforcer. And now we're going to focus down on this Apogee. This flux is pretty high. That Wayfarer has been destroyed. Heavy damage going in on the Apogee. He's been overloaded. Oh, no he hasn't, no he hasn't. He's just dropped a shield. He sends out his flares, but I think he's pretty much a dead duck now. Looks like his engines are out. He's turning. He's overloaded. Hurricane comes in. That's into the Apogee. The Mules backed off. There's the Conquest. He's gone a bit too far forward, and he's got some support around him, but we're going to just make sure we avoid him. Enemy Tempest looks like it's going back to capture that comm relay point. It looks like the Conquest is firing a squall at us. Not a big fan of the squall myself. Anti-shield cannon missile thing, but I don't like it. It's just too easy to avoid, it's too difficult to keep on target. On the other hand, it is a good weapon against stations because it can fire over your own ships. It doesn't need line of sight. It looks like their fleet's kind of been split in two. There's a champion below us. Mule, Condor Carrier, Brawler Gunship and the Conquest. If we can keep out of range of that Conquest, it's firing its squall at us, but it only really does damage to shields, so I'm quite happy to drop my shields and take it on the armour there. In fact, this champion over here is kind of isolated, so maybe we'll just disengage from this Conquest and try and destroy him. Champions are pretty effective cruisers, but alone against this kind of a fleet that's coming in on him now, I think he's going to have real difficulty. Fighters coming in. There goes a Reaper from the Cobra Bomber. More torpedoes coming in. This flux is very high now, and we're just going to try and get into position so we can kind of add our firepower to the mix. The Eagle is just suppressing it hard with its multiple beams. And all these high-tech craft surrounding it, kicking out its engines. Hurricane comes in. More bombers coming in, more torpedoes. Cobra Bomber's coming in with a Reaper, but by the time he gets there it's already destroyed. We're going to turn immediately just to protect our own carrier. And they have an Afflictor. Phased frigate there. Let's see if we can just send in our ships to try and kill it off nice and quickly. This Tempest down in the bottom right, there's two Tempests actually, they are holding their own against this mini fleet here. There's a Champion, a Mule, a Hound, a Lasher, a couple of Brawlers. But with the speed they have, they can just kind of just avoid fire. And keep themselves alive and distracting that part of their fleet. Okay, I'm not sure they're going to be able to catch that Afflictor. It's faster even than a Tempest when it goes into phase. So we're on our own for the moment. We don't want to stay like that for long. But yeah, I don't think it's worth chasing after that Afflictor on the left hand side. So we will bring the rest of our fleet back in to escort us. This Gremlin looks like he doesn't want to live, so he's just hanging out on his own. Gets destroyed nice and quickly. There's another champion here. Again, he's isolated, just with a single Tempest and Enforcer for support. Really should have stuck close to his Conquest. So we're just going to send some fire after this Enforcer first. His flux is very high. Let's send off a Hurricane. Almost kills him off. And the Auto Cannon and Gauss Cannon bring him down to what, 5% health. And still that Conquest is far down in the south and not with the rest of his fleet, as he should be. Also goes down to the Tempest. Champion is holding us off relatively well, but his flux is getting higher and higher. Tempest is trying to do some sort of distraction. Okay, the Conquest is now back in the mix. We're going to bring our fleet together if we can. I'm just waiting for another command point. Conquest is finally getting into the battle. Exchanging beam fire with the Eagle. He's got the champion supporting him along with the Mule and some smaller craft. Salamander's going in, see if we can knock out his engines. They will get destroyed by his point defense, but actually his hull is down to half. I'm not too sure if that's something. Must be from the Eagle. Let's send in a couple of hurricanes against him. He's able to tank him on his shield, but that sends his flux even higher. Okay, we've got a command point back, so we're going to bring the whole of our fleet in now to support us. We forget defending the command points. It's not really necessary anymore. Here comes a Reaper, we'll tank down our shield and the second one too. And I think as soon as we've got all of our fleet together, we'll be able to take off that avoid order and try and kill these champions. Conquest is buggered off to the left for a bit. This champion's flux is nice and high, so we're going to send a hurricane after him. Most of them miss. And it looks like some of our frigates are getting down to critically low combat readiness. Where is that Conquest going? He seems to want to abandon his smaller craft to their fate. And we've got large range superiority against this champion, so we can just keep wailing away on its shield. Yeah, they've recaptured the points that we abandoned, but we don't need them anymore. We may as well just focus on destroying them. A couple of hurricanes going after this champion. His flux is very high. That's overloaded him. So I think it's time to move in. We're going to take off the avoid order, put the eliminate on the champion, and just send everyone in and see if we can kill it nice and quickly. Enemy hound lasted about 3 seconds in front of the hard points of the Eagle. Our frigates are moving in to harass. A couple more hurricanes coming in. Heavy damage on the champion. Conquest is now on the right hand side threatening our drover. So we'd like him to back away. We don't have a command point yet to order him to move. Hopefully he's going to get the hint. Enemy Condor carrier under heavy fire, takes hurricane to the face and manages to survive. This drover is moving away from their Conquest. I'm just going to move over and help defend it. Condor carrier goes down. Put the avoid order back onto the Conquest, just to make it clear we don't want anyone to tangle with it now. First champion or second champion goes down. Now it could be worth trying to swarm and destroy this Conquest because he's on his own, apart from a lone Mule for support. Actually, I think we'd rather leave him to the end. And that Mule has gone down actually. Okay, moving in on this champion, we're going to turn. He's going to fire some missiles at us. We're going to turn and engage all our weapons. Fighters coming in, dropping torpedoes. And although we've moved in closer, negating our range advantage, the firepower we can put out is greatly superior to the champion. And we can just sit here and destroy him. He's trying to back away, but I don't know why these guys are kind of spread out again. Champion's going to go down very, very shortly. There he goes. And I think they're just down to their Conquest. So he did take out one of our omens. These other frigates need to keep their distance here a little bit. We are in a good position here with our guns firing on him, but he's facing us head on, so he's not firing at us. I'm going to try and just get into a slightly closer position. Just try and overwhelm his shield. So at the moment we're just using the Gauss Cannon to put pressure on him. He's backing away from us wisely. We are using our ship system to move in a bit faster, and now we've got a command point. We can bring in all of our fleet to overwhelm him. And we've got 11 more deployment points, so we may as well bring in a Sunder. I want one of the ones with a Tachyon Lance to come in and just attack him from the south. At the same time, this Tempest here is kind of in dire straits. He's run out of all combat readiness and he just needs to retreat because he's going to be suffering malfunctions and he's not going to be any use to us. So this Tempest is getting quite ballsy, but he's staying where he should be, which is right in front of the Conquest rather than on its side. I fired off some Salamander to see if we can knock out his engines, but with the amount of point defense these guys have, it's not really going to work very well. This Tempest needs to be careful. Oh, he's taking a lot of damage, and this would be a good time for him to back off. He doesn't seem to want to. Ooh. Now he's backing off. Not really enough. I would have got the hell out of there if I was him. But everyone else is arriving now, putting a lot of damage. I'm just sticking on his stern, destroying him from range. And there he goes. Okay, so I think we just lost the single Omen, which is acceptable. We'll be able to replace that quite cheaply. Up there, smaller ships just left over. The rest of them will probably be retreating, so we'll just speed it up. And what did we lose? Oh, we lost 2 Omens. Okay. Let's see if we can capture any of their ships. First we will take on their freighters. We'll just send in some of our ships we didn't use. Might as well give the Hyperion a bit of a outing, along with a couple of Sunders. So we can recover one of our Omens, one of their champions. It's got some demods, but I think I will take it just because we can restore it, and I do quite like the champion. We can get back the second of our Omens, but it's going to cost a story point and it has a demod. I think I'd rather just buy a new one when we find one. We didn't get the Conquest, but champion is a pretty good prize anyway. And now we are free to invade Chalcedon, but I think I might just go and pop into Olinadu down in the south first quickly, just to do some repairs and pick up some supplies and fuel. Okay, so we're going to pick up some crew here just to replace the guys we lost in that battle, and also to help us crew the new champion. Some supplies, some fuel, another autopulse laser, and some devastated cannons, which we could maybe put into that empty slot on the Conquest, but at the moment I don't think we need to. And we'll head over and invade the Gallic Path world. I don't believe they have a defending station, so we'll just need the Marines. See if they got anything useful on their markets. We'll get some extra Marines here. And some more supplies. We'll do a quick raid before we invade. And just see if we can get some more supplies and maybe some more armaments. So we are over cargo capacity, but I'm not going to sweat that too much. We've got plenty of supplies. Okay, we will invade, but I made a mistake here because they have heavy batteries, and if I had done an orbital bombardment first, we could have probably knocked them out. As it is, we're probably going to lose quite a few Marines here, unnecessarily. See, because when they have heavy batteries, every time you send Marines down to the surface, they take damage, and so I've actually lost quite a few there. It's also going to damage their morale, so we have to remember not to do that in the future. So we'll send another company after the spaceport, another one again after the heavy batteries, and the way station. Yeah, I'm kind of regretting that. I think we'll just see if we can take out these heavy batteries as soon as possible by sending the majority of our Marines after it, and then when we send down our second lot of Marines, hopefully they won't have to face that same kind of firepower. So we've captured the way station. Probably that was a mistake. We should have waited till the heavy battery was overwhelmed. But it's not the end of the world. We can always get more Marines. I can also see on the left here we do have an invasion coming in against Cibola. The Brazilian League are trying to take it back, and it looks like their forces are forecasted to overwhelm our station and successfully invade the planet. So we're going to have to try and do this nice and quickly so that we can get back and defend that. Tell me we've taken over the batteries. Yes, we have. Just the 3 sectors left to take: light industry, mining, and the patrol HQ. So we will send out the rest of our Marines, spread them out, and hopefully we'll be able to conquer the planet nice and quickly. Okay, that should do it. Hey, okay, done. Another world taken for the pirates. And I think because we already have 2 other colonies in this system who can provide support, we won't need to help them out with defending against rebellions. So we're just going to pick up our Marines, pick up our armaments. We lost about 200 Marines, which isn't the end of the world, but could have been avoided. Sell off the spoils we got. We have a lot of drugs here. We will want to sell them off at the next opportunity we have to get a good price. Buy some Marines, some supplies and some fuel, and then we're going to have to get out of here nice and quickly and go and defend Cibola. Let's see if we can get there in time. Drop right in on top of it, and I think the fastest way in is actually going to be through this where is it? It's just south of this planet, so I think it's this nascent gravity well here. So if we transverse jump in, we should get there nice and fast. Yes, we did, and actually we can see we've just got here just in time because this invasion fleet is coming in right now, and although it's enough to take down this station, I think we are going to have no trouble defending the station against it. They don't have a capital ship, just cruisers. So we will turn on our transponder and join the battle. And let's see if our Conquest can do the business again. So we want the Conquest. Maybe a couple of the Falcons. Omens for point defense, some Tempests, Medusa. We'll bring the Monitor in as well, just because they're such great defensive ships. And we will just order everyone to defend the station. Now, this station has fantastic firepower once it's facing the enemy, and of course it has excellent range, so it's going to be tough for them to take it on. They would have to overwhelm it, and I think with the Conquest and the other ships we have here, it's going to be a tough fight for them. I think what we'll do is get the rest of our fleet to come and escort us so we can kind of be a bit more aggressive and push forward from the station. This Griffin missile cruiser is firing a bunch of rockets at us, but we can attack that nice and easily, and I think if we can take him out quickly that will reduce the amount of damage coming against us. So fighters coming in, launching torpedoes, we're going to send a couple of hurricanes after him, and then a Cobra bomber launches a Reaper and destroys it. Now they have a Falcon and an Apergy on the left, another Reaper and a Champion on the right. I think we will just going to sit in front of the station, let our flux go down again. And the firepower that the station can put out is going to be very hard for them to deal with. They're trying to fire Reapers at the station, but you can just destroy them with this point defense. We're going to take on this Apergy. The Apergy is a good ship, it has good shields, but can't tank this much damage. It's trying to get us with rockets, we're going to fire a couple of hurricanes after it. And now it's been overloaded, we might as well send our whole fleet after it, but actually it gets killed by the harpoons. That was a bit of a waste of a command point. I think we may as well let our fleet just kind of do what they do. I don't think we need to micromanage them quite as much as we would in a bigger battle. This Hammerhead is taking damage from us and from the station, which is more than it can deal with. And I think what we could try and do now is get behind their fleet and kind of sandwich them between us and the station. So we're going to use our ship system, we're going to try and boost behind them. More hurricanes coming in on this Falcon, overloads it, does a bunch of damage, and there's harpoons coming in from the Falcon. Are they going to kill it? 1, 2, 3, 4, almost. There it goes. So what have they got left? A Champion, a Griffin, a Shrike, and an Enforcer. A couple of frigates. Another Hurricane coming in, this time on the Griffin missile cruiser. Doesn't do as much damage to shield as it does to armour and hull. And I can see they are circling the station. They don't want to get caught between me and it. It looks like they're trying to stay well out of my range, but Griffin is firing off Reapers, as is the Champion, but it's kind of desperate, I think. A couple more Hurricanes coming in against this Griffin missile cruiser, and I think that's going to be the end of it. There it goes. Just the Champion left. Hopefully we can capture it. I do quite like these Champions, and a couple of them would be a good addition to our fleet. He's turning his back on me. I think this Falcon is going to be able to take out its engines. Yeah, he's dead in the water. More salamanders going in on his engines. It's just a question now who's going to deal the killing blow. Here come some more Hurricanes. Alrighty, I think what we will do is speed up the rest of the battle. They've got a few frigates trying to escape, and I'm actually going to transfer into the Falcon so we can maybe help chase down their retreating craft. The Conquest itself is going to be too slow. Some fighters trying to chase down this enemy frigate as it tries to escape. Are they going to be able to kill it off? It's on a sliver of health. Oh, it looks like it did manage to retreat. Lucky bugger. So what did we manage to recover? Oh, we did lose the Tempest in that fight. I didn't actually realise that. And then foolishly, for some reason at this point, I neglected to recover the Champion. I kind of wish I had. But once you've clicked past it, you can't go back, unfortunately. But we did defend the station, and I think it might be worth taking on the freighters of the invasion fleet. They won't have too much in terms of useful cargo, but they might be carrying lots of supplies. So we'll send our first mate after them. And that was pretty much a whitewash. I think we will recover the Atlas, because I'm at the stage now where we don't need to be that sneaky. And we could probably switch out a bunch of our pirate mules. sell them off and replace them with a few atlases, and it would make us more efficient supply and fuel wise. And we wouldn't need to run the mules as makeshift carriers anymore because we have dedicated carriers. And also it might be worth getting rid of a bunch of our insulated engines on some of these craft, because really there's not so much need to be sneaky anymore. We can actually be a lot more belligerent, a lot more aggressive. We'll restore the Atlas, get rid of its demods, and the same with the champion. And then let's see if we can fit them out. Put them into position. So the champion is a heavy cruiser, and this one has an integrated targeting unit built in. It has a large missile mount on the front, and I think we might try the Hammer Barrage, which is a non-guided torpedo launching system that launches 4 very damaging torpedoes straight forward. And if you can get close enough, it's pretty powerful, so I think we'll try that. The other option is the Cyclone Reaper launcher, which is similar but fires Reapers instead of hammers. They're more damaging, but they're a lot slower, and are therefore easier to dodge. And we'll try the hammer out. It's also cheaper in terms of ordnance points. And then I think I fancy using an auto pulse laser in its large energy slot, because again it's got good alpha strike potential. We can add in some antimatter blasters to multiply that. And then I think we have a couple of hybrid slots here that can take ballistic or energy weapons. So we will try them with a heavy needler and a heavy mortar to give anti-shield and anti-armor. More antimatter blasters to give even more alpha strike potential. And then we will put burst and long range point defense lasers here. Defense. And actually I'm going to switch out a couple of these antimatter blasters for some iron cannons. I think 4 antimatter blasters might be a little bit too flux intensive, and the iron cannons will be great at piercing shields and doing iron damage to systems of enemy ships. So we'll just sort out the weapon groups, put the antimatter blasters on 1, the iron cannons can be on auto fire, the torpedoes on 2, and everything else is going to be auto anyway. Alright, let's try this out in the simulator. We go up against the Dominator. That's usually my kind of standard opponent when it comes to cruiser size craft. Because if you can take on the Dominator face on, then there's not much that's going to really scare you. So he's firing a bunch of rockets at me. We could just back away until they run out of fuel. But also we can tank them on our shield, use the PD lasers to get rid of them. Okay, now he's opening up with his ballistic weapons. We are going to fire an auto pulse, and then if we can get in close we can hopefully overwhelm it and stick some hammers in its face. One thing I have realised here is that the ship system for the champion is this high energy focus, which will benefit all energy weapons, so it might be worth changing out those ballistic weapons and the medium turrets at the front for energy weapons, because the heavy needler and heavy mauler won't be taking advantage of the ship system. We are overwhelming it face on, so I'm quite happy about that. Yeah, I think if you can kill a Dominator face to face like that, it bodes well. But I think we will change out these ballistic weapons. If we put heavy blasters on here, they're like souped up antimatter blasters anyway. I need to drop a couple of caps or vents. Just to be able to field another heavy blaster. And then pretty much all of our weapons apart from the Hammer Barrage will be taking advantage of that high energy focus. So we put heavy blasters and antimatter blasters on 1, and we can fire them all in one big volley. And let's try it again against the Dominator. If you look at this, we have fantastic weapon ups on the champion. It really can fire all around it. Okay, so more ballistic fire coming in. Make a bit of a mistake here by facing these rockets straight on where our point defense lasers can't cover. We can use the autopods as well to destroy them. And now with the high energy focus you can see we're doing a huge amount of flux damage to his shields. And then with the antimatter blasters and the heavy blasters we get his flux nice and high and launch the torpedoes. Overloaded him. The iron weapons are going to do their damage to his systems. And then finish him off nice and quickly. Okay, yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. It may be worth changing the hammers for Reapers, but for now, I quite like trying out the hammers. For the Atlas, it's going to be a lot simpler. We're just going to want to give it militarized subsystems. I think we're going to probably want to put the insulated engines on the Atlas as well, just because it is going to be the ship with the absolute highest sensor profile we have. I think we'll build in the militarized subsystems. We can add in an automated drive field just to keep it up to the speed of the rest of our ships. Atlas is very slow, so it needs something just to help it keep up with the rest of the fleet. So now it's at a bone rating of 9, which is more than enough. The slowest ship in our fleet is currently a bone level of 8. We have +1 from our navigation skill. I think a bone level of 9 is good enough. It's only 1 below the maximum, so we can still run away from most things that would be scary. And we can still chase down most things that we want to hunt. Looking at our sensor profile, we can see the Conquest is by far the highest sensor profile we have now. But I'm not too worried about that. I think if we're flying around with the Conquest, most enemy fleets are going to want to be hiding from us rather than the other way around. I think we can probably deal with not being as sneaky anymore. So, it looks like the Persean League are down to Kazeron in the Thule system. And I think that's it. That's the only world they have left. I'm not yet confident enough to take on that station because it's just such a destructive weapons platform. They've got drones and they've got mines, and I don't like fighting either of those things. There's another Persean League special task force there. We're just going to go around that, and we're heading off to Asconia at the moment because we want to drop into the pirate station there and pick up some more marines. But we have seen a juicy target here, mercantile convoy carrying heavy armaments, which we would like to supplement our invasion force. So we'll take them on. Just got a small amount of armaments there, but we've got 900 supplies, and actually we're pretty low on supplies, so that was good timing. Not sure it's worth going after the rest of their ships. So we'll carry on our way. Another mercantile convoy here, Persean League. They're fielding 2 more champions, which would be nice to steal, but we don't know what they're carrying in terms of cargo. It looks like they've run away from us pretty fast anyway, so we'll leave them for now. However, this mercantile convoy looks like it'll be very easy to take on, and again they're carrying armaments and supplies, so we will send in our first mate. And he's taken out all their freighters, but somehow the Dominators managed to escape despite being really slow. And oh, 600 armaments almost. Yeah, that's more like it. We'll have to drop some metal in order not to go too far over our cargo limit. And actually, we are losing 100 supplies a day just because of that extra cargo, so I think we will just drop some heavy machinery. We don't need that. So let's pop into Umbra in the Asconia system. I think it's the only pirate world where you can consistently find large numbers of marines. So there's a bunch of small pirate fleets raiding around the jump gate here. We're going to head off to Quares, but on the way we'll stop at this independent world Norcia because we do have a mission to disrupt, I think, the spaceport in here. There's a strike fleet there we want to avoid. What was the mission we had to do here? Yeah, disrupt the spaceport. Okay, we can do that nice and easily. There's It's a good price for drugs and Epiphany, and we're carrying a huge amount of them, so we will head off there very shortly. Just going to sell off some heavy machinery to give us some cargo space, pick up some fuel, a couple more hurricane launchers in case we get another conquest, some marines, and then we will launch the raid to disrupt their spaceport just to get the mission reward. Okay, lovely stuff. Okay, let's continue on to Umbra. So the main reason we've come to Umbra is to replace the Marines we lost. We got 200 from there, 280, and another 260, so that brings us up to 1500 Marines, which is more than enough, I think, to invade any planet we want to. And we've also picked up a second Heron, so we're going to get some fighters and some bombers in there. I think we're going to mix daggers. And we have some tridents here. Tridents are some of the best bombers in the game. They are expensive, and they're also a bit slower than daggers, but they do carry 2 torpedoes each. We just double the firepower of the tridents, although there's one less of them in the wing. But I like to mix them in with some fighters just to help overwhelm point defenses. So we'll stick some claws in. What you really want is for your fighters and bombers to be roughly the same speed so they arrive together. And I think we're also going to take out these insulated engine assemblies, because we've got bigger craft now with a much larger center profile in the Conquest and the Atlas. I don't think there's any point in reducing the center profile of these cruisers and destroyers. You see here we've got a maximum burn of 9. All of our ships are fast enough. We can take out the augmented engines as well, and then we can give extra caps and vents to these Herons. Put some Wasp interceptors in here. We still don't have the expanded deck crew mod spec, which is the one you really want for carriers. So let's just put a couple of flat cannons and some point defense lasers on this Heron. And I think they're good to go. And I think I'm just going to quickly go through and remove all these insulated engines, and that will allow us to be a little bit more liberal with our caps and vents on these ships. So we don't need this, don't need this. Make sure we've got hardened subsystems on these frigates. Take the insulated engines off the carriers, off the Valkyries. But I am going to put additional berthing in on these Valkyries so they can carry more Marines. And the same thing on this Nebula. And we're going to remove the converted hangars on the Mules so they can carry more cargo. We're not going to be using them as carriers anymore. And we will probably sell them off once we can get a few more Atlases. Make sure they've got a full complement of Salamanders in case we do want to deploy them. Just as long-range missile platforms. And actually one thing I forgot to do, which I'm going to do now, is exchange them for extended cargo holds, just to give us a little bit more capacity. Okay, that's all done. We also have this efficiency overhaul mod on the Revenant. It's probably a good idea to put that on all of our cargo ships, but I'm not sure I want to do that right now, so we'll leave it. Now soon we're going to be attacking another station, so I want to just change out some of the armaments on this Conquest. The idea is to configure it just to bring down or overwhelm shields. if we can take down station shields from range, then our other craft will be able to go in and destroy the armor in the hull. So I'm going to switch out the Mark 9 autocannon for a Molnir cannon. And I think we're going to change out these maulers as well and replace them with hypervelocity drivers. Just need to lower our vents a little bit. So now this is a long range platform just for attacking shields. And to that end we're also going to take out this heavy blaster and replace it with, I think, the ion beam. It's got longer range and it will be able to suppress shields. Last thing we want to do is change out these hurricanes for the squalls. As I say, squalls are good for suppressing shields at range. They've got the ability to fire over your own craft. And they can kind of keep up sustained pressure. Especially if you've got two of them. I think that should be enough. We're going to do a similar thing with the Doom. We're going to take out these antimatter blasters and some of these torpedoes and just replace them, I think, with Sabo missiles. So 4 sets of Sabo missile racks is 12 total. And then I think we'll switch out the phase lances for heavy blasters. And actually I'm going to switch out the Typhoon Reapers for harpoons. The reason being, you can only fire a couple of Reapers at once and they can be easily destroyed by point defense. But these harpoons fire, I think, 4 at once. If you double fire them, that's 8 missiles coming out at once, which can overwhelm most point defense systems. On the champion, we're going to switch out the hammer barrage for a hurricane launcher, which will be a bit more useful at range. And I think that'll do. Okay. So we're going to pop into Epiphany, drop off these drugs, and then I think we'll head north to Zagan, one of the final Persean League systems, and attack their high-tech station. I think we can come in here quite safely. I think the Lilac Path are not too pissed off at us as yet. So we can get a very good price for drugs here, and we've got 2,500 of them. So we'll sell most of them. We've managed to keep our finances pretty steady through this war. And we can just get a few more Marines here. And refuel and resupply. Okay. Okay, there's nothing else useful here, so we will leave and jump out of the system. And now we're going to head north. Let's just avoid this Tritech security flotilla. They got a bit caught napping there. And we'll head up to Zagan. We can see that one of the places we've invaded and taken over is now decivilized, Civola, which is a bit of a shame, but it is one less place we have to defend. And it means it can never be taken back, so in a way, it's kind of mixed news. Alright, so I've come into Zagan, and we're going to just head off immediately to Yesod and try and invade. Doesn't look like they've got any scary patrols. So, okay, time to engage. They do have a champion and a Griffin missile cruiser defending it, along with some smaller craft. And I haven't fought one of these stations in a long time. Hopefully it won't be too disastrous. They've got one standard hangar module, 2 standard shield modules, 2 standard station batteries, and 3 standard structural spurs. Okay. So we'll fly the Conquest, we'll bring in some of our larger ships. Both Herons. Some Omens for point defense. Just bring the one Tempest. No, I think we'll take Medusas instead. They can stand up to more punishment and their shields have greater coverage. But the idea is to just kind of stand off at range, tank the fire from the station, and use our squalls and long-range weapons to bring down their shields as fast as possible. We've got multiple plasma cannons coming at us. This Medusa's going to have to be careful. Here come their fighters. Luckily we have a Doom, so he's just going to drop a couple of mines in the middle of their formations and blow them to shit. Okay, let's start firing our squalls. Let's see what we can do to this shield. We're taking a lot of damage on our shield. Camping's going in. It looks like we've already destroyed one part of the station. Very quick. Maybe a second part as well. Okay, we're going to vent. I don't think we're taking as much fire now. And then more squalls. Just to put continuous pressure on this shield. So we are doing damage. Okay, this side's been destroyed. More torpedoes coming in. Oh! And it's down. Okay, that was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. Okay. Right, now we can finish off their fleet. First we'll get everyone to focus fire on this Sunder on the right. Take him out quickly. A few frigates coming in. But Eagle, Champion and Medusa are not going to have any big issues dealing with them. Fighters destroying frigates on the right hand side here. I think the Doom finished off the Sunder. Okay, let's get everyone back to escort us. This tiny little kite in the bottom right is going to die very, very quickly. There he goes. And now this Enforcer's the next target. Send out the squall. See if we can actually hit him. He's hitting his vigilance now. That overloads him. And I think those mines are going to seal his doom. Let's get everyone on this Enforcer. We will use our manoeuvring jets to get into a better position. And then the iron beam is going to help disable him. Here come the heavy blasters from the Doom. They're very efficient and very destructive. Okay, a couple of Omens on the left hand side, just keeping out of my range. Or trying to. I think they've just got frigates and a single hammerhead left. Oh no, it looks like they still have a Gemini and a Venture, but nothing that's really a threat to us. We will speed up the rest of this battle. It's going to take us a while to chase down all these frigates. Shepherd goes down. Lasher goes down. I'm going to swing around and attack these slightly larger ships. This Venture is going to get swarmed. Fighters and cruisers taking them out. Same with the Gemini. And then there's just two wolves. No, one wolf and two vigilances trying to escape. And I think they all got destroyed. And it looks like there's one running for his life. We'll let him go. Okay, so we didn't manage to recover any interesting ships, so we will just go and take our salvage. Okay, we will do a raid on your side to see if we can just pick up some additional armaments. So we lost 183 Marines there. We probably should have done a bombardment before we did the raid. And so we will remember to do that now. We've got plenty of fuel. So we can disrupt their military. I can see there's an invasion coming in of Madeira. We might need to help out for that one. Just make sure we've tagged it. Okay, we're just going to wait for our Marines to reorganize and then we will invade. So they've got 5 sectors. Hopefully we can take this in one day. Let's go for ground defences. Fuel production. And we'll just spread them out. One on the military base. One to attack their patrol HQ and one to attack their spaceport. And anything else we've got, we'll probably go for ground defences. Although they've got the most troops in their spaceport. Let's send one to the military base. One to the spaceport. And the last one I think we will send to their fuel production. Okay. Hey, another one-day invasion. We can pick up our war spoils. Sell off the stuff we don't need. Metals, volatiles, food, organics. Drugs are going cheap here, so we'll buy some of them. And we've got quite a lot of heavy armament, so we'll sell off a couple of hundred of them. Pick up some more Marines, more crew, and supplies. Okay. Okay, we will help out the port boss a little bit, help him to maintain control. Deliver him some armaments, some supplies, and some Marines. Okay, so now, pirates, pirates, pirates. Yeah, they still have Kazeron, their military homeworld, in the Thule system. I would love to take it on, but I just think it's too dangerous right now. We'd need at least one more capital ship, I think, to take it safely. So we're just going to head into my Asura to sell off these drugs and check out the Tritech world there, see if they have any interesting ships. But I think we will put a cut in here. We've just gone over an hour and 10 minutes. So I think that was a pretty successful session. I'm going to have a little bit of a shopping spree in these Tritech worlds, and we will see you next time. Thank you all very much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and goodbye.